so that you're developing a richer context for the scene. Now it's your scene. And take his position. And you're doing anything now but sweeping, and bring Robin into this in some regard.
I can do some of that dusting for you.
Oh,
I don't mind dusting.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
A little over here, a little over there.
The floor is a little.
The
How
floor?
are the floors?
No, I don't like getting down on the
No,
floor. It hurts my
no.
knees. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll do the floor.
Okay, I'll do the bureau.
Okay.
Okay. Little mirrors.
Mhm.
Little mirrors. Windex.
Ooh,
Good thing, right?
Really?
Come over to the
Thank
doors.
goodness for it.
Oh, dog noses. Ooh.
Freeze!
A little harder.
We're going to go into the end in. So actually, you were just in it, so we'll go. This gentleman.
Thank you.
Yeah. I hate cleaning. We're not going to clean anymore. We're going to hire somebody to clean.
Yeah, you're not cleaning. Actually, cleaning never happened. So we had 2 semi-cleaning scenes, like no talk about dust, sweeping, or cleaning. So start again, and you're doing anything except cleaning.
Oh, okay. Want to go horseback riding?
Never been on a horse. Yes.
Me neither, but there's been
Yes.
plenty around here lately. You know, then we can go on, do something like that, all right, yeah. Yeah, I think there's a ranch somewhere around here, and then we could go on there and walk over to it. Yeah. There should be somebody here we could ask. Do you know anybody that we can ask?
Let's go upstairs and ask the selectman.
Why not?
Wow.
That sounds good. I don't think he's here now, though, so we're
Oh,
probably
it's
not going to
nice.
be able to
No,
do that.
hopefully.
Why don't we leave him a note?
Let's leave him a note.
Yeah, and we'll do it again another time. It's probably not.
I think so
There's been
too.
a lot of bad
Early in
things
the
happening
morning,
to the horses
like
around here.
Five tomorrow morning.
Freeze! And the gentleman there. Actually, no, I think I went to this side. Yeah, this side here. I'm going to go odd even, either side. Okay, the hands out. Remember, same position, which will help you figure out what you're doing in this scene.
This boulder is awfully heavy. You think we can move it?
Yeah, I'll give you a hand.
Maybe we both push this way.
Yeah, bend your knees a little bit.
I can't.
I don't want to do all the work. I'm doing everything else.
I'll get a rope and I'll pull.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I can lasso it.
That's a good idea. Okay,
All right,
let
I'll pull.
let me tie it
and you
around.
push.
I'll tie it around.
I don't think you're doing your part.
Freeze! Good physicality in this one. You're in.
Thank you.
I'm so glad I finally learned how to dive properly into a pool.
Boy, you better. I can't swim.
You can't swim? All right, let me try and think.
I'm gonna say okay.
All right. Here, I'll throw you over my shoulder.
Oh, thank you so much. I almost died.
Really?
Are you a lifeguard?
I always wanted to be, but not currently. All
Let's do something else.
right.
What do you got in mind?
Jogging, I guess? Jogging would be safer, probably.
Okay, do it slowly.
All right, yeah. We'll do it
Freeze! And then Ed will finish with you here.
Pat, it's time to duel. Oh, God.
All right, end scene. All right, so how did that feel?
That was fun. That was fun.
Was it scary? Were you worried about what you were going to say or do?
I think we all got into it a little bit
Yeah.
more readily, easily.
Do you think the warm-ups kind of helped get that comfort level?
Yeah.
You know, because you're building a scene, you're adding the details, you're being physical, you're someone's like this, you take their position and you're like, okay, there's a boulder in front of me. And you say it and the audience, like, I can see a boulder now. And then you take a lasso and I'm like, I can picture a rope being put around there. So those physical touches, which again, if you want to bring this back to Toastmasters, if you're talking about a speech and in your speech you're talking about, climbing a mountain, and you're like, there I was at the base of Everest, I'm holding on for dear life, and you do that, people will say, yeah, I can picture that. So showing that, being physical, using your body really helps make an impact with speeches, with communication. I mean, you watch comedians when they do one of their routines, and if they say, they were, driving, and they'll go like this, just, they'll do something where you can kind of visualize it. So what you did now is kind of exercise that skill, and doing all those exercises beforehand, the one-word story, the yes and, the fortunately, unfortunately, all these things to justify it, as well as the exercise when you were doing the knife throwing and the emoting. You're moving your body, so you're making a reaction. You had some sword fighting here and some straining with the rock, and again, that your voice lets us know that you're straining with the rock, or that you got stabbed by the sword. So, any thoughts or questions?
Oh, this reminds me of a cartoon I used to love as a child. It was one where, what's the one? The rabbit. Oh shoot! I'm sorry. No, Bugs Bunny. Thank you. Was creating a scene for Daffy Duck, and Daffy Duck. The first scene was I don't know, on a farm, and he had him painted everything, and he had to say, pretend he was on a farm. Gave him a costume, and he starts to sing, like Old MacDonald had it, and all of a sudden it's snow, and he had an igloo. E-I, what? And he's like, all right, have it your way. And he starts dashing through the snow, and all of a sudden it's like Hawaii. He starts doing like a hula, whatever it is, and so eventually he just goes nuts. But it's really funny because Bugs keeps changing the scene every few seconds, and Daffy has to keep up with the story.
Yeah, and you guys did the same thing, right? When you came in, if you were the one who had to, make a choice, if you were the person that, or was tagging the frozen person, you're making a choice, but now you have to kind of lead and create some reason why you're doing it. But the other person, they've got no idea what you're going to do. So when you called, the boulder, the person over here is like, I don't know what they're going to do. So you had to immediately play off of their idea. And I didn't see any denial, so you didn't go, that's not a boulder. No, it's a boulder. So you guys are really good at agreeing that there was a box or a boulder or dust. So that agreement is what helped all those scenes continue. Because if I said it's a boulder, and you're like, oh, that's a piece of glass, well, all of a sudden all your ideas have this heavy boulder that you're pushing. You're like, well you took that away from me. But you guys didn't do that. You guys did really well. You kept agreeing with the reality and adding on to it. So, great job. We're right at about 9 o'clock now. Mm-hmm. So any other thoughts, questions? Do you think this was helpful? And do you see the connection between improv with communication and public speaking?
Yeah, where does one go from here? I mean, are there classes in this type of thing, or organizations that promote it, or what do you think?
Very good question. There are. I mean, my group actually does occasionally offer classes. I mean, we're based in the Fairfield County area, so if you know Meetup, it's a social networking group, and we have the Metro New York Fairfield County Improv group. So you just go on Meetup and you look up like Improv in Fairfield County, which would be the first hit. We used to do a lot more classes, and then the town hall asked us for an insurance certificate. And we're like, well, they didn't ask us for 4 years in a row. And we're like, well, we can't just buy insurance out of nowhere, so we took they were free classes actually, so we now do them a lot less frequently. And we have a fee base to cover rental. Usually we have a church we do in Old Greenwich sometimes. But if you go on to Meetup and look us up there, we do have events if you want to go down to, say, Old Greenwich for any improv. There's also New York has a huge improv scene. New Haven has a scene as well. But yeah, it's not. I know, actually, didn't you tell me before that they also have classes here or performances here?
Christine, whatever, from the Playhouse.
Playhouse.
But it costs, I think about $300 to take a class.
Is it a series of classes, I would imagine, for that price?
Yeah.
So there's that option. It's local. If you look up the ones in Meetup in Old Greenwich, I mean, the price there is usually a lot more reasonable, from what I recall. My colleague Lori does classes and some sessions. So other than that, you could also just practice on your own. This is my story. We learned from someone that took a class, and then we just started doing the exercises. And there's tons of resources online, Improv Encyclopedia. You go on YouTube, there's lots of videos. So it's just a matter of doing, practicing, and all those circle games, they're great to do. Pre-Toastmasters to warm up, post-Toastmasters to have fun.
I have some of Jamie's resources you gave us the last time.
Mhm.
It's like, if I don't have your email address, give it to me and we'll tie you to that. Because you gave me that list the last time we were on the teleclass together.
Yeah, I mean, if there's ever enough demand, I could come up here and do like a paid class. I mean, Toastmasters, I have a great feel in my heart because I started here. But if you went like an official class, I could do like one-shot classes where if we got like enough people, say 15 people together, I could just come up and do a class for like one-shot deals here and there or whatever the demand is for. Because I didn't talk about my full bio, but I've done this for GE Capital, for Praxair, for Swiss Re, so lots of corporations that I've come in and done corporate training workshops for.
I have a question. I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm trying to start a business that has to do with speaking. But where I'm starting is negotiation workshop. I created it myself. I lived in South America, had to negotiate all the time, found I was good at it, and wow, I can use this for professional and personal. I'm just wondering, when you went for the clients, how, I'm seeing this now just in a lot of different ways, how do you to get to the right person to, it's like, I used to collaborate with someone, like, let's make a list of all the clients in New Jersey, let's call them. I'm like, okay, great, I'm going to call someone who's just going to click, delete, when you don't know who to talk to, they're not just going to call you back and they don't know you.
For us, actually, it was a lot of word of mouth. So we started doing shows, and people would come to our shows, and they'd say, oh, I love this, was great. And then we'd always say, well, we do offer corporate workshops, we can do, private parties, private events. And through word of mouth, people, we did one corporate Christmas party. We did one like kind of corporate roast where, you find out about one of the leaders and they were like, look, it's the CEO's birthday. Here's some of his pet peeves, and, we had permission to explore some ideas with them. So, pretty much just word of mouth. We were able to get that, but that's because we were being more public. We were putting on shows, we were offering classes, and then people they liked what they saw, and then through that it just sort of like we had a couple of 40th birthday parties. We had a billionaire in Greenwich that hired us, Sandy Weil, who used to be the head of Citibank. His son turned 50, I don't know, some years ago, and we went to their mansion and did a custom show to kind of roast him for his 50th birthday party. But yeah, just word of mouth, really, by being public and people seeing you and they like what you do. And then the leader of our group, who came from Toastmasters, he was very business-minded. He actually even went out and bought some Google words, so that if you Googled Fairfield and Improv, we were like, one of the first hits. And we got some, internet interest that way too. But none of us, this is all avocational for us. We all had regular jobs, and we were doing this on weekends or weeknights. But it's a great supplement, it really is, and it's helped me professionally, it's helped me personally, and I hope you like what you saw, and if you like improv, just you can either take classes or just after Toastmasters, or pick a night and say tonight's improv night and do it on your own. Great. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Good job.
Thank you. And thank you, Dave.